The first days of secondary ELA class shape the expectation, habits, and classroom culture students will carry throughout the rest of the year. Many beginning of the year resources focus mainly on procedures, rules, and icebreakers. Those things matter, but students also need to understand what it means to think like a reader, evaluate information, support ideas with evidence, and participate in meaningful academic discussions. Before we take a closer look at this resource, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I share practical literacy strategies and classroom-ready materials designed specifically for teachers working with students in grades 6 through 12. The first 10 days of secondary ELA, a literacy roadmap, gives teachers a structured, low-prep sequence for launching the school year with meaningful literacy instruction from the very first day. Across 10 lessons, students gradually build the habits and critical reading skills they will use throughout the year. Each lesson is approximately 35 to 45 minutes and follows a consistent structure that includes a bell ringer, direct instruction, guided practice, independent practice, reflection, and an exit ticket. Day 1. Establish a culture of active reading. The first day introduces students to the difference between simply reading words and thinking actively while reading. Students identify the habits of successful readers, learn the basics of active reading and annotation, and participate in creating a classroom social contract. This helps teachers establish expectations for respectful discussions, curiosity, participation, and evidence-based thinking. Students also begin using a literacy toolbox journal, which they will build throughout the 10-day roadmap. Day 2, identify the author's claim. On the second day, students learn the difference between a topic and an author's claim. They practice identifying claims that are stated directly and inferring claims that are implied throughout details in the text. This lesson establishes an essential foundation for evaluating arguments and understanding an author's message. Day 3, analyze supporting reasons and evidence. Next, students learn that a claim is only as strong as the reasons and evidence used to support it. They distinguish between a claim, supporting reason, and evidence. Students also begin explaining why a specific piece of evidence supports an author's argument rather than simply locating it in a text. Day 4, evaluate information. The fourth lesson focuses on facts, opinions, claims, and misleading information. Students learn to slow down and evaluate information before accepting it as true. They apply these skills to real-world resources such as social media, advertising, online videos, and new articles. The goal is to help students become more thoughtful and responsible consumers of information. Day 5, determine what evidence is strong. On the fifth day, students learn that not all evidence is equally valuable. They evaluate evidence by asking 3 important questions. Is it relevant? Is it sufficient? And is it reliable? Students practice determining whether evidence actually supports the claim, whether enough evidence has been provided, and whether the source is credible. Day 6, recognize weak arguments. The sixth lesson teaches students how to identify faulty reasoning, missing evidence, and weak logic. Students learn that weak evidence and missing evidence are not the same. They analyze arguments, ask critical questions, and determine whether the author's reasoning truly supports the claim. Day 7, identify common logical fallacies. On day 7, students are introduced to 3 common logical fallacies: bandwagon, hasty generalizations, and false cause. The goal is not to require students to memorize a long list of fallacies. Instead, students learn to recognize common reasoning mistakes and explain why those mistakes weaken an argument. Day 8, analyze bias and perspective. The 8th lesson introduces bias, perspective, and point of view. Students examine how an author's experiences, beliefs, and position may influence the way information is presented. They also learn that identifying bias does not automatically mean rejecting an author's ideas. It means reading carefully, recognizing perspective, and considering multiple viewpoints before forming a conclusion. Day 9, put the skills together. On day 9, students begin combining the skills they have developed. They read a complete information article and analyze the author's claim, supporting evidence, reasoning, perspective, and possible bias. This lesson moves students beyond isolated practice and helps them use several critical reading strategies within one authentic reading task. And then day 10, become an independent critical reader. The final lesson serves as a culminating of application and reflection. Students independently analyze an informational text. They identify the author's claim and reasons, evaluate the quality and reliability of the evidence, recognize possible bias or missing evidence, analyze the conclusions with details from the text. So students then reflect on how they have grown as critical readers and how these skills will support them throughout the school year. What you will receive in this resource includes a complete teacher guide with daily lesson overviews, learning objectives, material lists, suggested lesson sequences, teacher notes, preparation checklists, and looking ahead sections. Each day also includes an editable PowerPoint presentation with explicit instruction, guided discussion questions, student activities, think, pair, share opportunities, reflection questions, an exit ticket, and speaker notes for every slide. Teachers also receive guided and independent student practice, reflection activities, a classroom social contract, the literacy toolbox journal, exit tickets, and answer keys for the student activities. The lessons are designed to require only about 5 to 10 minutes of teacher preparation each day. Teachers can open the presentation, review the speaker notes, print the student materials, and begin teaching. The roadmap follows a gradual release module. Students first receive explicit instruction and teacher modeling. They then move into guided practice, collaborative discussion, independent application, and reflection. Each lesson builds on the one before it. Students move from active reading and identifying claims to evaluating evidence, recognizing weak arguments, analyzing bias, and independently evaluating a complete informational text. By the end of day 10, students are no longer participating in practice disconnected skills. They are combining multiple strategies to think critically, evaluate information, and support their conclusions with evidence. This research can be used in middle school ELA, high school English, reading intervention, special education, homeschool instruction, or any classroom that needs a strong beginning of the year literacy launch. The first 10 days of secondary ELA, a literacy roadmap, helps teachers establish more than classroom procedures. It helps establish expectations for active reading, critical thinking, academic discussion, and meaningful engagement with informational text. You can find the complete resource through the link in the description. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and visit helpyoulearn.org for more classroom-ready literacy resources for grades 6 through 12. And I will see you in the next video.